Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Psfense in a VirtualBox environment. Before you get started, you want to make sure that you've done the following three things. First, you want to make sure that you've downloaded and installed VirtualBox for your particular operating system, be it Windows, Linux, or Mac. Here, these instructions should work on most Windows and Linux systems, but won't work on M1 or M2 Macs. So if you have an M1 or M2 Mac, VirtualBox is not supported in that environment, so these instructions won't work for you. But if you're running a Windows or Linux system, these instructions should work just fine. Once you've downloaded and installed VirtualBox for your appropriate system, the second thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and download Psfense. So I've added a link in the description of where you can go ahead and download VirtualBox, and I've also added a link in the description of where you can go and download Psfense. So once you've downloaded and installed VirtualBox and downloaded Psfense, the final step is that you'll need to go ahead and extract Psfense. So on Linux and Mac, you can simply right-click the archive file and then hit extract to here, and this will extract an ISO image that will look like this, Psfense ISO. On Windows, you'll need a special program to perform this extraction, and I've linked in the description below that program. So go ahead and click on that link, download that program, and extract the ISO image. Once you've completed those three things, you've downloaded VirtualBox and installed it, you've downloaded Psfense, and third, you've extracted Psfense, you'll be able to follow along with the instructions in this video. So first, we'll go ahead and we'll create a new virtual machine. So go up here and click New, and then we'll call this virtual machine Psfense, and then we'll select our ISO image. So here we'll go to Other, and then we'll navigate to the folder that contains it. So our ISO image is in our Downloads folder, so we'll click that ISO image. Then we'll select the operating system type. So Psfense uses BSD, and in particular, it uses FreeBSD 64-bit. So for this version that we're installing, you need to make sure that you've selected FreeBSD 64-bit. So then we'll hit Next, and then here we'll keep all the defaults here. And then for virtual hard disk size, we'll also keep all the defaults. Then we'll hit Next. And then when we get to this page, this is just a summary of the machine that we're creating. We'll go ahead and we'll hit Finish. So now we'll see here that our Psfense machine is created. We'll go ahead and click on it, and you'll see a little summary of all of the details of the machine. Because we're going to use Psfense like a firewall, we need to make sure that it has both two network adapters enabled, one to the internet at large, and then the other adapter to a private network, because the firewall is going to sit between the internet and the private network. So we'll go up here and we'll select Settings, and then we'll go ahead and we will click on Network, and then we'll have our adapter. So there are two options for our adapter. The first option is that we can set it as NAT, and we can also set it as bridged, depending on your home network configuration. Here I'm going to use a bridged adapter. So this is the adapter that's going to connect to the internet at large. Secondly, we want to create an adapter that is going to work on our internal network. So we'll select adapter 2, and then we will click Enable Network Adapter. And for this one, we're going to select Internal Network. Here, the default name for this internal network is iNet, but we can call it whatever we want. So here, I'll call it Internal LAN. If you connect any other machines to this internal network, you'll select Internal Network for the adapter type, and then for the name, Internal LAN. The name has to match exactly, including uppercase and lowercase letters and spaces. So be very careful when you're typing in this internal network name for other machines. If you call this internal network something else, you need to make sure when you connect the other machines to the internal network, you also use the same name. So then we'll go ahead and we'll hit OK. So now the hardware is configured for our Psfense machine and our network is configured. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit Start here. So here we can see that machine is booting up. This is going to take about 20 to 30 seconds. We'll just close this pane on the right here. Okay, so when we get to this copyrights and distribution notice, we'll just hit enter to accept. And then we get to this welcome to Psfense screen, and here we're going to just go through and install Psfense. So we just want to select the first option, which is our default. So we just want to hit enter on the screen. And then here for partitioning, we just want to go through and select the default partition. So here we'll select the auto ZFS option. So we'll just hit enter. And then we will keep all the default configurations here. So we'll just hit enter. And then here we'll keep the default, which is just stripe, no redundancy. So we'll just hit enter for this one. And then finally, we want to select our hard disk. So to select our hard disk, we are just going to hit space. And when we hit space, you'll see a little star appear here. And then to deselect it, if you want, you can hit space again. But we want to make sure it's selected. So we'll hit space until we see this star. And then we'll hit enter again. And then we get this option here where it's telling us that we're going to override the disk, but that's okay. This is the only thing we have on this virtual machine. So we'll hit tab to toggle between yes and no. So once we're on our yes option, we'll hit enter. And now we'll go through and we'll begin the installation process. Okay, so now the installation process is complete. We can hit tab here, and instead of rebooting the system, we're just going to pop into a shell. So let's hit enter to pop into a shell. Okay, so here we are running in the Psfense machine shell. Before we reboot the system, let's go ahead and we'll remove that disk. So go up to devices, optical devices, and then we'll remove that ISO image. And when we do that, we're going to get this unable to detect virtual disk. Would you like to do a force on mount? So we'll click force on mount. Okay, and once that's done, now we can reboot the system. The reason that we wanted to remove this ISO image is that we don't want to repeat the installation process when the machine reboots. So go back up to devices, optical, and make sure it's unticked that that device has been removed. So we'll go ahead and we can type reboot, or this did not automatically reboot for us. So we'll just close this to reboot here. So we'll do power off machine. So make sure to select this power off machine. Hold OK. And then we go ahead and we'll start the machine. I'll close this panel here. So here we see that it's booting from disk 0, which is great. So it's going through the auto boot option. And instead of us getting that screen where it was asking us to accept a license, we should see the Psfense screen. So this is going to take a little longer here, maybe 20 to 30 seconds. Great. So we see it's configuring the LAN interface, the WAN interface. That's good. Should also do things like set up our DNS and other firewall configurations. Okay, so it looks like it's set up our DNS resolver. Now it's working on bootstrapping the clock. This part just takes a little while. Should be done in the next 30 seconds or so. Okay, looks like the boot's complete. So now that the boot is completed, you'll see that we have our Psfense machine up and running. So you see here is our wide area network, and here's the IP address of the public facing part of the firewall. And then here's our internal LAN or local area network, and here's the range of IP addresses for that machine. So we can do several things. We can log out, we can open up the shell, and so on. So here's our installed version of Psfense. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you. Goodbye.